Okay. Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. Thank you for coming back to the show. I know you've been here before. We looked it up. You were here May of 2021. So it's about 3 years, over 3 years, yeah?
It's been a while. I appreciate you having me back.
Oh, my pleasure. And at that time, you were promoting your book series. It was Jim Long series, is that correct?
The Jim Long series is what I've got out right now. Yes, the first time I was on, it was the police series. So
Oh, okay. All
yes,
right. So you're already up to book three on the Jim Long series?
book three was released a couple of weeks ago. Yes, sir, and it's doing pretty well. Really happy with that character and how it's going.
All right, so you've got two different book series going.
Well, I've got more than that. The book three of the Jim Long was my 21st book.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
So I think I've got three series in the works right now that I'm continuously working on.
Let's do a little review because I don't remember exactly what we talked about in the first series, but give us a little bit of your backstory.
Uh, I was a police officer. Started writing, and my first two books that I was on here the first time with was the Kobe PD novels. There's two books in that series so far, and mostly what I write is westerns, but I do write some crime fiction as well.
Okay, are you in Texas?
I am in Texas.
Okay, well, the hat was a giveaway, I think. It's funny because I haven't been to Texas very often, I think twice. And every time I've gone to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, it's amazing to see it at the airport to see all the hats. I mean, I love the hats, but it's just you don't see them in the rest of the country like you do in Texas.
Well, that's probably true. If I can't take my hat, I don't guess I need to go. But that's about the way I feel about it.
Why did you start writing? Did you retire as a police officer and then just start writing, or were you writing while you were active as a police officer?
I started writing while I was working, and the first books I released were the crime novels. So it kind of incorporated stuff I already knew and was familiar with, and I'd always wanted to write westerns, and that's what I turned my attention to, and that's what I enjoy writing. Though I still do the crime fiction as well.
Are the crime fictions based on your experiences? I mean, maybe change the names but I mean, were some of them inspired by things that you actually experienced?
The first two were the Kobe PD novels were because it deals with a small town police force and how they go about solving crime and the difficulties they have in trying to do that. There is a new series I have out about a private investigator that is just more traditional mainstream crime fiction.
Okay, you said you were a police officer in a small town.
Yes, sir.
What was the most frequent crime that you encountered in a small town? Or is it pretty much the same as a big city, just less of it?
It's pretty much the same as your major areas. There's just way less of it. Our major crime here was probably narcotics, drugs,
Okay.
methamphetamine, stuff like that.
So tell us a little bit about Jim Long, because we didn't cover him in the last show, right? You said,
That's true.
okay.
Jim Long is the first book was released last year, and the posse is book three. He is a town marshal around 1872 or so in Texas, and it goes through his life of coming back to where he was born and uh, getting the job as the marshal and everything he has to do in between that, and how he copes with his life on the frontier.
I don't know if you said or not, but why did you start writing?
Oh, I started writing in college. Really, I wrote some short stories and stuff of that nature that I was lucky enough to have published. And I always wanted to write a full novel, and I didn't know if I had a full novel in me after writing short stories. But turns out I enjoy writing the novels more than anything I've ever done. So,
Did you ever have the aspirations to be, a full-time writer before you went into the police?
yes, I would, think about stuff like that. Like, how do they sell so many books that they don't have to, quote unquote, get a real job? I hope to reach that level one day.
But you didn't decide to pursue that when you were younger. You waited until after you retired to start publishing?
Well, I was still working when I released my first novel. The reason I didn't pursue it younger, or when I was younger, was because I didn't know if I had the discipline that it took to write 60, 70, 80,000 word story. When you're used to writing short stories and telling your stuff quick, I just wondered if I had what it took to write a full story. And then when I finally did, it was like the pieces fell into place, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Do you have a particular process for your writing? I mean, do you approach it like a job? You get up every morning and sit down and start writing, or do you just do it when the mood strikes you?
Well, when I'm in the groove, I like to get up early, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll write until 7:30, 8 o'clock. And that way I'm done for the day. But here lately, with the schedules and everything I've been going through, it's been more write when you can, and I don't really enjoy that as much as I do the discipline of getting up, going to work every day, writing.
I've never written a novel, but how do you stop actually? Because you said that you get up early and then you write until a certain time. What if you still have more to say? Do you just put it on hold in your brain and say, okay, I'll do that part tomorrow?
I try to always leave off where I know what's going to happen next. That way, when I come back in the morning, I've got a warm start. I don't know of anything that would be scarier for me than a cold start. That would be a hard work day if you had to just start cold and begin. I have to know what's going to happen next before I quit, and I'll just stop once I know. It's usually 6 or 8 pages a day that I get written.
6 or 8 pages a day. Okay. And you don't ever have the issue of forgetting where you were going to go?
Well, fortunately, I do not, because for me, I live with the characters. I know them intimately, and it's just like I'm relaying pieces of their life. I do have some stories that I started that just fell apart because I did forget where they were going, and maybe that's for the good of the story, that I didn't try to force that. And but if it's really flowing, it stays with you.
What years is this set? Is this set in the 1800s?
1870, 1872, around about that time.
Okay.
For the Jim Long series.
How many books do you anticipate are going to be in the Jim Long series?
I really like that character. I like his relationship with all the people in the story. So I hope to continue him on for a while. I would love to have 10 or 12, 15 books about him.
Okay. Is he sort of the classic gunslinger, Western type?
No, I don't really write in that fashion. There's not really gunslingers per se. They're just people that happen to fight with guns, and they happen to be good, but there's no quick draws or anything like that. He's just a guy that's tasked with a job, and sometimes he hates that job, sometimes he's scared, but he still goes and does it.
Okay, so it's not the classic stereotype Hollywood image of a Western civilization at that time.
I would hope not. I strive very hard for it to not be stereotypical.
Well, there was so many of them. I mean, movies particularly that came out and I can't remember them all. I mean, John Wayne was probably one of the
Yeah.
more legendary ones.
Yeah, there was a lot, and you know, the Hollywoodization of the Old West has really done some damage when it comes to telling the traditional side of the story. It may be entertaining, but is it factual? I'm hoping that what I'm able to do is cooperate the two of them together into a storyline.
Did you do a lot of research for this particular series? I mean, historical research?
For the westerns, there is some research as far as place and such as that. I grew up on westerns. I grew up reading the history of the settling of the West. Uh, so it's not really so much as research as just stuff I've already known. Try to incorporate it. Make sure your facts are right. Make sure your dates are right. Make sure your time period fits to where you're writing. There's not really a whole lot of research that goes into the westerns as much as there is in the crime fiction, which is contemporary. There's a lot more that goes into that for the basic reason that nobody has ever seen an old West town as it was set up in the 1800s. So you're pretty much free to put your buildings where you want, to where if you're writing a modern story and you've got H Street crossing C Street and the people are familiar with that city you're writing about and you're wrong, they're going to call you out on it.
So you don't know how long this book is or this series is gonna go on, yeah? Just till you run out of
No, I'm
ideas?
hoping that it goes on and on. That's up to the publisher. If the sales keep churning along and doing well, then the character will keep going along.
Okay, that's actually what I was gonna ask you. So you do have a publisher. You're not self-publishing.
No, I'm not self-published. I have a publisher.
Okay, great. All right. Anything else you want to add before we wind this down?
Not really. I just encourage everybody to go grab 2 or 3 copies and see what all the fuss is about with Jim Long, and grab some other books as you find them.
Okay, so the latest book is called The Posse, is that correct?
The Posse, yes.
Okay, and it's been released, I assume. When was it released?
Yes. A couple of weeks ago, I think.
Oh, all right. How's it doing so far?
It's doing well so far. It's made its way up the list, and it's still hanging in there. So I'm proud of it.
Well, Ronnie, we do have to wind this down. Last question, do you have a website that you want to give out?
I do not have a website. I have social media they can look at me on, or they can find all the books at Amazon.
Okay, books available at Amazon. And
Yeah.
Which social media platforms are you on?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just look for Ronnie Ashmore, and there I am.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming back on this show. It was nice talking to you, and best of luck. I hope you keep writing.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to seeing you again in a few years.